The light that filters through the smoke hole in the roof of your longhouse is thin and gray. It's not yet dawn, but the world is stirring. The air is thick with the familiar, comforting smells of old smoke, sleeping bodies, and the damp earth floor. You pull the heavy wool blanket tighter around your shoulders, a moment of stolen warmth before the day begins. This is your world. A small farmstead, a handful of acres carved from the unforgiving landscape, a family, a few cows, some sheep, and a stubborn, ill-tempered pig. It's everything you have. And in this world, everything you have is perpetually at risk. Not just from the sea or the cold or a poor harvest, but from the man living in the longhouse a stone's throw away. From the stranger you might meet at the market. From the very fabric of the society that is supposed to protect you. The question isn't whether you can fight, or farm, or sail. The question is, could you last a single day under Viking law? Let's begin. You swing your legs from the sleeping platform, your bare feet meeting the cold, packed earth. Your wife Astrid is already moving, stoking the embers in the central hearth. The children are still asleep. Your first task is the same as every morning. Check the livestock. You pull on a rough linen tunic, wool trousers, and simple leather shoes. You step outside into the biting morning air. The sky is the color of light. Your 2 cows are where they should be, placidly chewing in their small enclosure. The sheep are accounted for, but the pen for the pig is broken. A section of the wattle fence has been smashed inwards, and the pig, your pig, is gone. A cold knot tightens in your stomach. A pig is not just a meal. It is wealth. It is cured meat for the winter, lard for cooking, a potential trade item. Its loss is a significant blow. Your eyes scan the muddy ground, tracks, not just of your pig, but of another, and they lead directly towards the property of your neighbor, Bjorn Ironhand. Bjorn is a man of some standing, a veteran of a few raids, with a louder voice and more silver on his wife's brooches than you have. This is your first legal test of the day, and it has arrived before breakfast. What are your options? You could storm over to Bjorn's farmstead, axe in hand, and demand your property back. This is the image we often have of the Vikings, direct, violent, decisive, but to do so would be incredibly foolish. If you harm Bjorn on his own land without legal cause or witnesses, you are the aggressor. You would be liable for any injury you inflict, and if you killed him, you would be a murderer, not a man defending his property. Murder, as opposed to manslaughter, was a crime that carried the penalty of full outlawry. This meant your life and property were forfeit. Anyone could kill you without consequence. You would be a wolf's head, hunted and reviled, a man without a place in the world of men. So violence is not the answer. Not yet. Your second option is to go and speak with him. This is the more sensible path. You walk the short distance, your heart pounding a little faster than you'd like. You call out his name from a respectful distance. You do not simply walk onto his land unannounced. The concept of the home, the heim, was sacrosanct. To enter a man's property without permission was a serious breach of the peace. Bjorn emerges from his longhouse, a large man, wiping sleep from his eyes. You state your case, calmly and clearly. Your pig is missing. The fence is broken. The tracks lead to his land. You have seen a pig, which looks remarkably like yours, now rooting around in his own pen. Bjorn scoffs. He claims the pig is his. He says he bought it from a trader a week ago. He suggests your fence was probably weak and your pig simply ran off, and what you see is his own animal. Now you are at an impasse. It is your word against his. This is where the law begins to unspool in all its intricate detail. You can't prove it's your pig. Perhaps it has a distinctive marking, a notched ear you cut yourself. You point this out. Bjorn shrugs and says his pig has a similar mark, a common way to identify livestock. He is lying, and you both know it. But the law is not concerned with what you know. It is concerned with what you can prove. You now have a formal dispute. You must declare your intention to pursue the matter legally. You state, in a clear voice so that his household can hear, that you are accusing him of taking your pig, and you will bring the case before the local assembly. You have now escalated the situation from a neighborly disagreement to a formal legal challenge. Bjorn, confident in his standing, agrees. He believes his reputation will outweigh yours. The day has barely begun, and you are already entangled in a lawsuit that could cost you time, resources, and if you lose, public humiliation. You walk back to your farmstead, the taste of ash in your mouth. You have followed the law, but you have also made a powerful enemy. The missing pig is no longer just a pig. It is now a matter of honor. You eat a meager breakfast of oat porridge and dried fish, your mind racing. To win your case at the thing, you will need evidence and support. Your primary evidence is the broken fence and the tracks. You should get a witness to see them before they are disturbed. You call on another neighbor, an older man named Kale, whose land borders yours on the other side. You ask him to come and look. Kale is reluctant. He doesn't want to be involved in a dispute with Bjorn. This is a critical social dynamic. Taking a side, even as a neutral witness, puts you in the orbit of the conflict. But Kale is a decent man, and he owes you a small favor from last harvest. He agrees. He inspects the fence, follows the tracks with you, and nods grimly. He has now seen the evidence. His testimony could be crucial. But one witness might not be enough, especially against a man like Bjorn. The law, particularly in Iceland as codified in the Gragaz or Grey Goose laws, placed immense weight on oaths and the support of one's peers. For many accusations, you would need to produce a number of oath helpers, men who would swear not to the facts of the case, but to your good character and the belief that your oath was clean. They were character witnesses, and their number and quality mattered. A respected chieftain might only need a few oath helpers. A man of your standing, a simple free farmer or carl, might need a dozen, and they must be your peers, free men, not thralls. You spend the next hour mentally cataloging your friends and allies, who would be willing to stand with you at the thing and risk Bjorn's displeasure. Your brother-in-law, certainly. A cousin who lives in the next valley. Perhaps a few men you shared a rowing bench with on a trading voyage. Each one you ask will be a test of your social standing. Your legal fate rests not just on the law itself, but on the strength of your social network. With this grim task weighing on you, you must turn to the day's work. You have a trip to the local trading post, a small cluster of booths and workshops near the fjord. You need to trade some of the wool Astrid has spun for a new iron pot. This journey introduces a new set of legal considerations. The road itself is a legal space. You are armed, of course. Every free man is. You carry a wood axe on your belt and a long knife, a seeks. This is not for aggression, but for self-defense. The law recognized the right to bear arms, but it also heavily regulated their use. If you were to draw your weapon in anger without just cause, even if you didn't use it, you could be fined. The very act of threatening with a bare blade was an offense. You arrive at the market. It's a chaotic, vibrant scene. The air hums with a dozen languages, Norse, of course, but also the Gaelic of Irish traders, the guttural sounds of Saxon merchants, perhaps even the strange tongue of a ruse from the east. Here, commerce is king, and with commerce comes commercial law. You find a blacksmith who has a selection of pots. You examine one carefully. It looks solid. You offer your bundle of spun wool. The blacksmith, a gruff man named Gunnar, inspects the wool. He claims it's of poor quality and demands more. You know your wife's work is excellent. This is the classic haggle, but it operates within a legal framework. Let's say you agree on a price. You hand over the wool, he hands you the pot. This is a contract, a verbal agreement made before the eyes of the public. The market itself acts as a collective witness. You turn to leave, but another man stops you. He claims the pot Gunnar just sold you is actually his. He says he left it with Gunnar for repair and that Gunnar has sold it illegally. Now you are in the middle of another legal quagmire. You have in good faith traded for an item. Do you own it? According to Norse law, the principle of vapnatak might apply. This was a public confirmation of a sale, where the buyer would take the item and the seller the payment, often with a symbolic handshake or tap of a weapon to seal the deal in front of witnesses. If you did this, your claim to the pot is strong. You are a legitimate buyer. The dispute is now between the claimant and the blacksmith. But what if the claimant is insistent? He might demand you return the pot. If you refuse, he could accuse you of possessing stolen goods. Your good name, your drama, is on the line again. You would have to rely on the witnesses who saw your trade with Gunnar. You point to the fishmonger and the leatherworker who were nearby. They saw the exchange. They can attest that you acted in good faith. The claimant, seeing that public opinion and evidence are against him, backs down, turning his anger towards the blacksmith. You have survived, but it was a near thing. A simple transaction is never simple. It is a web of reputation, witnesses, and assumed knowledge of complex oral traditions. You walk away with your new pot, feeling the weight of its iron as a physical manifestation of the day's anxieties. On your way back to the farm, you pass the construction site of a new longship. A local chieftain is having it built. The air is filled with the rhythmic sound of hammers on rivets and the sharp scent of fresh-cut pine and hot tar. Your cousin, Leif, is one of the men working on it. As you watch, a heavy wooden beam being hoisted into place slips from its ropes. There are shouts of alarm. The beam crashes down, and Leif, unable to get out of the way in time, has his arm caught between the beam and the ship's hull. There is a sickening crunch. You rush over. Leif is conscious, but his face is pale with shock and pain. His right hand and wrist are clearly crushed. This is a catastrophe for him. As a carpenter and a farmer, his right hand is his livelihood. This injury will cripple his ability to work, to provide for his family, to even wield a weapon effectively. But this is not just a personal tragedy. It is a legal event. An injury has occurred. The law must now quantify this suffering and assign a price to it. The system of compensation, or weregild in the Germanic tradition, was a cornerstone of Norse law. In the Norse world, this was often paid in rings of precious metal, hence the term bogger. The goal was to prevent a blood feud. Instead of Leif's family seeking violent revenge against the man responsible for the slipping rope, the law provided a specific, calculated payment to settle the matter. The law codes, like the Norwegian Gulating Law, were astonishingly specific about this. They contained a gruesome price list for the human body. Let's calculate the cost of Leif's injury. The foreman of the work crew, the man who was supervising the lift, is responsible. The chieftain who owns the ship is ultimately liable. The laws would be recited from memory by a law speaker, but let's imagine you have a copy of the Gulating Law in your head. First, the basic compensation for any wound that draws blood and breaks the skin. That's a set amount. Then, for the broken bones in the wrist, that's another, higher amount. Then, for the loss of function in the hand. This is the most serious part. The law distinguishes between losing a thumb, which was critical for gripping a sword or an axe, and losing other fingers. It distinguishes between a hand that is merely broken and one that is permanently useless, a lame hand. A useless hand was valued at a significant portion of a man's total weregild, his life price. If Leif were to die, the chieftain would owe his family a full man payment. For a crippled hand, he might owe an eighth or even a quarter of that price. This would be a huge sum of silver, perhaps dozens or even hundreds of silver coins, worth, or several large arm rings. The payment would be made to Leif, not to his family, because he is the one who has suffered the loss. The process is not about justice in a moral sense. It's about restitution and the prevention of further conflict. You help carry Leif to his home, his pain a stark reminder that every action, even an accident, has a precise legal weight and a cost in silver. You look at your own hands, at the calluses and scars from a lifetime of work, and you understand that their wholeness is a form of wealth, one that can be shattered in an instant and converted into a cold, hard price. You finally return to your farmstead as the afternoon light begins to fade. The anxiety of the morning has been compounded by the grim reality of Leif's injury. You need to prepare for the thing. You need to shore up your support. You decide the best way to do this is to host a small feast tonight. You will slaughter one of your sheep, a cost, but a necessary one. An invitation to eat and drink at your hearth is a powerful social tool. It builds goodwill and reinforces bonds of loyalty. Astrid sets to work preparing the food. You send your son to invite your brother-in-law, your cousin, and a few other key allies. As evening falls, your guests arrive. The longhouse, which felt so empty and cold this morning, is now filled with the warmth of the fire, the smell of roasting mutton, and the sound of conversation. You pass around a horn of ale. This is the social arena where reputations are made and unmade. You tell the story of the pig, careful to present yourself as a reasonable man who was wronged. You speak of Leif's accident, shaking your head at the tragedy. Your guests listen, they nod, they offer their support. Your brother-in-law claps you on the shoulder and promises to stand with you as an oath helper. Your cousin agrees. You are building your case, not in a courtroom, but around your own fire. But this social gathering is also fraught with legal peril. The combination of ale, weapons, and male pride is a volatile one. The laws of slander and insult were taken extremely seriously. To call a man a coward, to accuse him of being unmanly or of a servile nature, was a grave offense. This type of insult was known as nith. The most serious form of nith involved accusations of sexual passivity, of being the receptive partner in a homosexual act, which was seen as the ultimate insult to a man's honor. To make such an accusation, even in verse or with a carved effigy, could grant the insulted party the right to kill the insulter on the spot with no legal repercussions. It was a legal trigger for violence. And as the ale flows, your nemesis, Bjorn, arrives. He was not invited, but he has heard of your gathering. He stands in the doorway, a smirk on his face. He has come to intimidate your guests and to challenge you publicly. He strides into your home, a deliberate violation of custom, and grabs a horn of ale. He raises it. A toast, he bellows, his voice silencing the room. To my new pig, may he fatten up nicely in his new pen. The insult is clear and public. He is not just claiming your property. He is mocking you in your own home in front of your allies. Your face burns with shame and anger. What do? The law gives you options, but all of them are dangerous. You could order him out of your house. If he refuses, you have the right to use force to eject him. But he is a strong man, and it would come to a fight. A brawl in your own home, with weapons close at hand, could easily lead to serious injury or death. If you kill him, even in your own home, there will be a legal reckoning. You would have to prove he was the aggressor, and that you acted to defend your home and honor. Bjorn is not finished. He looks you up and down, a sneer on his lips. You should have built a stronger fence, he says, his voice dripping with contempt. But then a weak fence for a weak man. This is it. This is nith. He has not used the most forbidden words, but he has questioned your manhood, your strength. He has done it in front of the very people you need to support you. They are all looking at you, waiting to see how you will respond. To do nothing is to accept the insult, to see your reputation, your honor, crumble into dust. If you accept this, your oath at the thing will be worthless. No one will respect a man who lets another mock him in his own hall. You have two primary legal paths, besides an immediate, chaotic brawl. The first is to sue him for slander. You could bring a case against him at the thing for the insult. The fine for such an insult was significant, but it feels like a weak response. It's a legal solution to a problem of honor. It might seem like you are hiding behind the law because you are afraid to confront him directly. The second path is far more perilous, but it is the one that honor demands. You can challenge him to a holmgang, the duel. This was a legally recognized form of combat to settle a dispute. It wasn't a wild fight. It was a ritual with specific rules, a designated place, often a small island or home, hence the name, and prescribed weapons. The rules varied by region and time, but they might involve a hide of a certain size on which the combatants must stand, a set number of shields they could use, and a sequence of blows. The first man to be wounded, or to step off the hide, or to have all his shields broken would lose. The loser would have to pay a fine. He would also lose the original dispute. If you challenged Bjorn to a holmgang and won, the pig would be legally yours, and your honor would be restored in the most dramatic way possible. But if you lose, if Bjorn wounds you, you lose the duel, you lose the pig, you lose your honor, and you must pay him a significant sum in silver for the privilege of having been beaten. And of course, there is always the risk that the wound could be fatal. While the holmgang was not always a fight to the death, death certainly happened. You stand there, the warmth of the fire on your back, the cold eyes of Bjorn on your face. The laughter and conversation have died. The only sound is the crackle of the flames. Your allies are watching. Your wife is watching from the shadows, her face a mask of fear. Your entire future, your family's standing, your very identity as a free man hangs on the words you say next. You clench your fists. Bjorn, you say, your voice low and steady. You have insulted me in my home. I challenge you, Holmgang. A gasp goes through the room. Bjorn's smirk widens. This is what he wanted. I accept, he says. The legal mechanism has been triggered. The duel is set. It will take place in 3 days' time. Now the pig is almost forgotten. This is a matter of life, death, and honor. Bjorn drains his horn, throws it to the floor, and strides out of your longhouse, leaving a stunned silence in his wake. Your guests look at you with a new respect, but also with fear. You have upheld your honor, but you may have just signed your own death warrant. The rest of the evening is a blur. Your allies pledge their support, but their voices are subdued. They will act as your seconds in the duel, but they cannot fight for you. You must face Bjorn alone. You spend the night not sleeping, but sharpening your axe and inspecting your shield, your mind replaying every fight you've ever been in, every story you've ever heard of the Holmgang. The law has provided a path, but it is a path paved with steel. The next morning, the day of the thing arrives. The duel looms in your future, but today the original dispute must be addressed. The local thing is held in an open field, a sacred space marked by boundary stones. At its center is the law rock, the Lurgberg, where the law speaker will preside. Hundreds of people are gathered, free farmers like yourself, chieftains with their retinues, merchants, craftsmen. It is the center of political, social, and legal life. It is a festival, a market, and a court all in one. You find your allies and stand with your group. You see Bjorn across the field, surrounded by his own supporters. He looks supremely confident. The proceedings begin. The law speaker, an old, respected man chosen for his knowledge of the law, takes his place. His first duty is to recite a third of the law code from memory. This is a public reaffirmation of the rules that bind everyone together. His voice drones on, a litany of regulations about inheritance, land boundaries, marriage contracts, and criminal offenses. It is the sound of your society. Finally, new cases are brought forward. Your case is called. You and Bjorn approach the designated area. There is no judge or jury in the modern sense. The assembly of free men present at the thing will ultimately decide the case, but it is done through a complex procedural battle. You are the plaintiff. You must state your accusation, formally and without error. The wording is critical. A mistake in the formula, a slip of the tongue, could invalidate your entire case. You take a deep breath and state, as you declared 2 days ago, that Bjorn, son of Olaf, has unlawfully taken a pig, your property, and that you seek its return and compensation. You value the pig at a specific amount of silver. Now you must present your evidence. You call your witness, Kale. Kale steps forward and swears an oath on a sacred ring, a holy object consecrated to a god, that he will speak the truth. He describes the broken fence and the tracks leading to Bjorn's farm. His testimony is solid. Then it is Bjorn's turn to defend himself. He states his case. The pig is his, bought and paid for. He has a witness of his own, a shifty-looking trader you've never seen before, who swears that he sold the pig to Bjorn. It is one man's word against another's. Bjorn's lawyer, a man more skilled in the intricacies of the law than he, might then challenge the validity of your witness. Perhaps Kale is related to you by marriage. This could make him a biased party. Perhaps Kale has a criminal conviction from years ago. This could make his oath worthless. The law is a game of procedure and reputation. Now comes the crucial stage, the oaths. Since the evidence is contradictory, the case will be decided by who is more believable, and believability is demonstrated by the number and quality of your oath helpers. You must swear an oath to the truth of your claim. Then your designated oath helpers, the men you feasted last night, must step forward and swear their own oaths. They do not swear that they saw Bjorn take the pig. They swear that they believe your oath is clean and not foul. They are vouching for you. You present your 5 oath helpers, your brother-in-law, your cousin, and 3 other allies. They swear their oaths, their hands on the holy ring. Bjorn in turn must produce his own oath helpers to swear to his character. Because he is the defendant, he may need fewer or he may need more, depending on the specific charge and local custom. He produces 4 of his own men, all of them loud and confident. The assembly watches, listens. They are weighing you against him. They are judging your character, your standing, the quality of the men who support you. They are looking at Kale's honest face and comparing it to the nervous glances of Bjorn's hired trader. The law speaker consults with a panel of chieftains or respected farmers who are appointed to interpret the proceedings. They consider the evidence, the witnesses, and the oaths. They look at the number of oath helpers on each side. They consider your reputation versus Bjorn's. Bjorn is known to be a bully. You are known to be a quiet, hardworking man. The lie about buying the pig from the trader seems thin. Your evidence of the broken fence is compelling. After a period of tense silence, the judgment is announced. The panel has found in your favor. Your oath is deemed to be cleaner than Bjorn's. He is ordered to return your pig and to pay you a small fine as compensation for your trouble. A murmur of approval goes through the crowd. You have won. You have used the law and the law has worked. You feel a surge of relief and vindication. Your property will be restored. Your status has been upheld. You have faced down a more powerful man and prevailed. But as you turn away from the law rock, your eyes meet Bjorn S. across the field. There is no acceptance in his face, only cold, hard fury. He has been publicly shamed. He has lost the legal case and the judgment of the thing is binding. But the matter is no longer about the pig. It never really was. The judgment of the thing has settled the property dispute, but it has not settled the matter of honor. In fact, it has made it worse. For Bjorn, the loss of the case is a public humiliation that compounds the insult he delivered in your home. For you, the legal victory is hollow, because the challenge of the home gang still hangs in the air, a promise of violence that the law itself has sanctioned. The judgment of the thing has simply cleared the underbrush, leaving the two of you to settle the real dispute with sharpened steel. Your victory over the pig is now merely the prelude to the duel for your life. The journey home from the thing is quiet. Your allies walk with you, their earlier boisterousness replaced by a grim sobriety. They talk in low voices, discussing Bjorn's fury, the likely conditions of the duel, the best way to prepare a shield to withstand an axe blow. The pot you bought at the market feels impossibly heavy in your hand, a mundane object from a world of simple commerce that seems a lifetime away. When you reach your farmstead, Astrid meets you at the door. She sees the look on your face, the way your friends avoid her gaze, and she knows. You won the case, but you did not win the peace. The next 2 days are a blur of tense preparation. The duel is set for the 3rd day at dawn on a small, flat-topped islet in the fjord, a traditional spot for such affairs. The world shrinks to the size of your shield. You spend hours with it. It is your most important possession now. Made of linden wood, cross-planked for strength and covered in stretched leather. The iron boss in the center is not just for deflecting blows, but is a weapon in itself, heavy enough to smash a man's teeth. You check every rivet, every plank. You and your brother-in-law work on reinforcing the leather rim, stitching on another layer. Every stitch is a prayer. You practice, not with another man. You cannot risk an accidental injury, but alone. You move through the forms, the basic guards and strikes, feeling the weight of the axe in your hand, the strain in your shoulder as you hold the shield high. You are not a seasoned warrior, not like Bjorn, who boasts of raids in the west. You are a farmer. Your muscles are for rowing, for chopping wood, for lifting stones from your fields. But an axe is an axe. You know how to use it. You just pray you know how to use it better than he does. You think about the rules of the home gang. They will be recited before the fight. A hide, perhaps 9 feet square, will be staked to the ground. You must both remain on the hide. To retreat, to place both feet outside the hide, is to lose. You will each be allowed 3 shields. Your second, your brother-in-law, will stand just outside the dueling area, ready to hand you a new one if yours is broken. The fight is to first blood, some say, but that is the old way. More recently, the duels have become more brutal. The understanding now is that the fight continues until one man is unable to continue or is killed. The law has become a thin veneer over a trial by combat. You eat, but the food has no taste. You try to sleep, but you see Bjorn's sneering face in the darkness. You think of your family. If you die, what becomes of them? Astrid would be a widow. The law provides for her. She would inherit a portion of your property. But a farmstead without a man to run it is vulnerable. Your children would be fatherless. Your son is too young to take your place. Your name, your lineage would be weakened, perhaps extinguished. You are not just fighting for a pig or for your honor. You are fighting for their existence. This is the terrible weight that the law has placed on your shoulders. It has given you a way to resolve the conflict, but the price of that resolution is absolute. The morning of the duel is unnaturally still. A thick mist hangs over the fjord, muffling all sound. You do not say goodbye to Astrid. You just look at her and she looks at you. Everything is understood. You, your brother-in-law, and your cousin row out to the islet in a small boat. The water is like black glass. As you approach, you see another boat already there. Bjorn and his seconds are waiting. A small crowd has gathered on the shore of the mainland to watch dark shapes in the gray dawn. This is theater, and you are one of the lead actors. You step onto the islet. The ground is damp and rocky. The hide has already been laid out and staked down. It looks terribly small. Bjorn stands by it, axe resting on his shoulder. He is bigger than you remembered. He is wearing a leather jerkin, but no mail. Mail was often forbidden in a formal duel to ensure a more decisive outcome. It is to be skill and strength against skill and strength, flesh and bone against iron. The seconds from both sides meet to confirm the rules. An older, neutral chieftain who has agreed to oversee the duel recites them in a formal monotone. 1 axe each, 1 knife at the belt, 3 shields stay on the hide. The fight ends when 1 man yields, is disarmed, or can no longer stand. The loser pays the winner 3 marks of silver. It is all very orderly, a civilized prelude to barbarism. You and Bjorn are called to the hide. You step onto the rough leather surface. You are close enough to smell the stale ale on his breath. There is no more mockery in his eyes, only a flat, murderous intent. You raise your shield, its weight familiar and comforting. You grip your axe, the worn wooden handle cool in your palm. The chieftain gives a sharp nod. The duel begins. There is no elegant fencing. The first move is a brutal, straightforward attack from Bjorn. He lunges, his axe swinging in a high arc aimed at your head. You catch the blow on the center of your shield. The impact is immense. It jars your entire arm, a shockwave of force that you feel in your teeth. The sound is a deafening crack of wood and a clang of iron on iron. You grunt, planting your feet to stay upright. You are on the defensive immediately. He is all aggression, a storm of blows raining down on your shield. Chop, chop, chop. He is trying to splinter it, to break it down, to simply batter you into submission through sheer force. You give ground, moving backwards, but you are careful to keep your feet on the hide. Your shield arm is already screaming in protest. Splinters fly from the shield's edge. You can't win a battle of attrition. He is stronger. You need to create an opening. After another heavy blow, you don't just block. You use the momentum, pushing forward with your shield, a shield bash aimed at his face. It catches him by surprise. He stumbles back a step, shaking his head. It has bought you a second. In that second, you swing your own axe. Not at his head, he's too well guarded, but low at his leg. It's a faster, less predictable strike. He is just quick enough to get his shield down to block it. Your axe bites deep into the wood of his shield. For a moment, both your weapons are stuck. You are locked together, face to face, shield boss against shield boss, straining against each other. His face is contorted with rage. He snarls and wrenches his shield free, tearing your axe from its lodging. The fight falls into a grim rhythm. A flurry of blows from him, a desperate defense from you, a quick counterattack if you can find the space. The crowd on the shore is silent. The only sounds are your ragged breaths, the thud of your feet on the hide, and the percussive, violent sound of iron striking wood. Your first shield is a wreck. The rim is hacked to pieces. The wood is split in 2 places. After one more blow, it collapses entirely, the straps tearing from your arm. "Shield," you yell. Your brother-in-law is there in an instant, thrusting the second shield into your hand. You have lost one of your 3 lives. Bjorn sees his advantage. He presses harder, giving you no time to settle. He is relentless. A blow gets past your guard, the edge of his axe glancing off your helmet. The force of it makes your ears ring and sends you staggering. You nearly step off the hide. You catch your balance at the last moment, your heart hammering against your ribs. He swings again, and this time you are too slow. The axe doesn't hit you, but it smashes into the top of your new shield with such force that the shield is driven down, the edge of it slamming into your own shin. A flash of white-hot pain. You cry out, biting back the sound. You can feel the blood starting to soak through your wool trousers. A wound, you are wounded, but you are still standing. Bjorn grins, a feral, bloody-minded expression. He thinks he has you. He lifts his axe for a final, decisive blow, and in that moment, he overcommits. He raises the axe too high, leaving his own torso exposed for a fraction of a second. It's the only chance you will get. You ignore the searing pain in your leg. You ignore the exhaustion in your arms. You do not swing your axe. Instead, you lunge forward, leading with your shield. You ram the heavy iron boss directly into his stomach. The air leaves him in a great whoosh. He is bent double, stunned, and you bring your axe around, not in a wide swing, but in a short, sharp, brutal chop. You put all your weight, all your fear, all your anger into it. The axe lands just above his knee. There is a sound that is not wood or iron, a wet, heavy crunch. Bjorn screams. It is not a roar of anger, but a high, thin shriek of pure agony. He drops his axe. He collapses onto the hide, clutching his leg. The bone is clearly broken. The duel is over. Silence. The islet is utterly silent, save for Bjorn's ragged, agonized gasps. You stand over him, your axe dripping, your own leg throbbing with pain. You are breathing in huge, shuddering gulps. You have won. The chieftain steps forward and raises his hand. He declares you the victor. Bjorn's seconds rush forward to tend to him, their faces grim. He has lost the duel. He has lost his honor. He has lost the use of his leg, perhaps forever. And he owes you 3 marks of silver. Your brother-in-law helps you off the hide, his arm around your shoulder, supporting you. You have survived. You have navigated the treacherous waters of Viking law, from a property dispute to a trial by combat. You have defended your property, your honor, and your family. You have done what a free man must do. As you are rowed back to the shore, you look back at the islet. They are carrying Bjorn to his boat. He will live, but he is a broken man. You should feel triumphant, but you don't. You feel sick. You feel tired. Your leg is a fire of pain. You look at your hands, the same hands that checked your livestock and held your children. They are shaking. They are the hands of a man who has maimed another. The law gave you the right, the necessity to do so, but the law does not wipe the blood away. You land on the shore. The crowd parts for you, their faces a mixture of awe, respect, and fear. You are no longer just a simple farmer. You are the man who beat Bjorn Ironhand. Your status has changed. You have proven yourself. You have lasted the day. But as you limp towards your longhouse, towards Astrid and the life you fought for, you understand that this victory is not an ending. In this world, there are no endings. You have not extinguished a fire. You have merely banked it. Bjorn has a family. He has sons and brothers. You have won the legal battle. You have won the duel. But you may have just started a war. The law has been satisfied, but the blood feud has just begun. The sun is now fully risen, a pale disk in the sky. It is the start of a new day, and the dangers are not gone. They have only changed their shape. The legal victory is a cold comfort as you are helped back to your farmstead. The pain in your leg is a sharp, insistent reality that overshadows any sense of triumph. Astrid meets you, her face pale. There are no cheers, no celebrations. She sees the blood-soaked wool of your trousers, the exhaustion etched onto your face, and her expression hardens with a grim practicality that is its own form of love. She sends your son for fresh water and clean linen. Inside the longhouse, she cuts away the fabric from the wound. It is deep, a ragged gash where the shield edge was driven into your shin. It is not a clean wound from a blade, but a brutal, crushing injury. The bone, mercifully, is not broken, but the flesh is torn and bruised. For the next hour, your world is reduced to the sting of the water as she cleans the wound, the sharp, clean smell of the yarrow she packs into it to staunch the bleeding, and the tight pull of the linen strips as she binds it. You have won the duel, but you will carry the memory of it on your body for the rest of your life. You will walk with a limp. In the days that follow, a strange quiet settles over your life. The community treats you differently. There is a new deference in their greetings, a flicker of fear in their eyes. You are no longer just a farmer. You are a homegang man, a victor. This new status is a shield of its own, more formidable than the ones you lost on the islet. But it is also an isolation. You have proven yourself to be dangerous, and people are careful around dangerous things. Your allies who stood with you are proud, but even with them, there is a subtle shift. You have crossed a threshold they have not. A week after the duel, 2 of Bjorn's kinsmen arrive at your farmstead. They do not come with weapons drawn, but with a heavy leather pouch. They stand at the edge of your property and call your name. You emerge, leaning on a walking stick, your legs stiff and painful. They do not meet your eyes. One of them places the pouch on a boundary stone between your properties. "The 3 marks of silver," he says, his voice flat. He turns and leaves without another word. You walk over and pick up the pouch. The weight of it is substantial. It is the price of Bjorn's leg, the price of his humiliation. It is the silver that the law says you are owed. Holding it, you feel no satisfaction. It feels like a stone from a grave. Life must go on. The seasons do not wait for feuds to cool. There is hay to be cut, grain to be harvested. Your limp slows you down and the work is harder. Astrid and your son take on more of the burden. You hire a landless man for a few weeks to help with the harvest, paying him with a small piece of the silver you won. You are now a man who can afford to hire help. Your status has risen in tangible ways. You see Bjorn's family at the market. They turn their backs. His sons, 2 young men in their late teens, watch you with a burning, silent hatred. The law has settled the matter between you and Bjorn, but the law has no power over the hatred in a son's heart for the man who crippled his father. You know this is not over. The silver is not a payment, it is a promise. The first move comes in late autumn. The nights are drawing in, long and dark. One of your 2 cows, the best milker, is found dead in the field one morning. There is no mark on her, no sign of predators. But when you inspect her more closely, you find a small, almost invisible puncture mark behind her ear, a place where a thin spike could be driven into the brain. It is murder, but a subtle, deniable kind. You have no proof. You cannot see tracks in the hard, frosted ground. You know who did it. They know you know. It is a message. We can touch you. We can take from you, and you can prove nothing. The loss of the cow is a serious economic blow, almost as great as the initial loss of the pig. But its true cost is the return of the cold fear you felt that first morning. The shield of your reputation can protect you in the open, at the thing in the market. It cannot protect a cow in a dark field. You could retaliate in kind. You could sneak onto their land at night and lame one of their horses or burn a haystack. This is the path of the blood feud, an escalating cycle of tit-for-tat revenge that can poison a community for generations. It is what they expect you to do. It is what your own anger, your own violated pride screams for you to do. But you have come to understand the law. The law is not just a set of rules. It is a weapon. And it is a weapon that serves the patient man. You do nothing. You butcher the dead cow, salvaging what meat and hide you can. You endure the loss. You wait. Your chance comes a few weeks later. You need timber to repair a section of the longhouse roof before the heavy snows arrive. The best trees are in the common woods a few miles inland. It is a secluded place. You know it is a risk. You do not go alone. You take your cousin Leif with you. His hand has healed, though it is stiff and lacks its former strength. He is a reminder of how quickly a life can be altered. You are both armed, not just with your belt knives, but with spears. You are deep in the woods, felling a small pine, the rhythmic thud of your axe the only sound when the attack comes. There is no warning, no challenge. 2 figures burst from the dense undergrowth. They are Bjorn's sons. They move with the ferocious speed of angry youth, their faces twisted in snarls. This is not a duel. This is an ambush, a Weifang, a dishonorable attack intended to kill. One son rushes you, swinging a heavy axe. The other goes for Leif. Years of farm work have given you a different kind of strength, a rooted, stubborn power. You get your spear up just in time to intercept the axe head. The shaft groans under the impact but holds. You are driven back, stumbling over a root. Leif is not so lucky. He is not a fighter, and his injured hand makes his shield work clumsy. Bjorn's other son smashes his shield aside. and brings the butt of his axe handle down hard on Leif's head. Leif collapses, stunned and bleeding from his scalp. Now they are both turning on you. You are alone with one spear against two axes. You know you cannot win a direct fight. You do the only thing you can. You run. You are not a coward. You are a tactician. Your limp makes you slow, but you know the woods better than they do. You scramble over fallen logs and through thickets, trying to separate them. They follow, yelling curses, confident in their victory. This is their mistake. They are focused on the chase, not on their footing. As the older son leaps over a moss-covered log, you suddenly pivot. You are no longer the prey. You are the hunter. You thrust your spear low, putting all your body weight behind it. The spearhead takes him in the thigh, the same place you struck his father. He howls and goes down, his axe flying from his hand. The younger son skids to a halt, his eyes wide with shock. He has lost his bloodlust. He looks from you to his screaming brother, and for the first time he looks afraid. He hesitates. That is all you need. You do not press the attack. You stand your ground, spear held ready, your face hard and unforgiving. He makes his choice. He turns and flees, disappearing back into the trees, abandoning his brother. The woods are suddenly quiet again, except for the whimpers of the wounded boy on the ground. You go to Leif. He is conscious, his head bleeding freely, but the wound is not deep. He is alive. He is a witness. You look at the boy you have speared. His leg is ruined. You have now crippled a father and a son. You feel a grim, cold satisfaction. They chose the path of violence and they have paid the price. But you also feel the weight of what you must do next. You take the boy's axe. You help Leif to his feet. You leave Bjorn's son where he lies. He will not die from the wound, but his journey home will be long and agonizing. You have your proof. You have your witness. You are going back to the thing. This time the stakes are infinitely higher. This is not about property. This is about attempted murder and the dishonorable crime of ambush. When you bring the charge, a hush falls over the assembly. You stand before the law rock, Leif beside you, the bandage on his head a stark piece of evidence. You tell the story, your voice clear and steady. You describe the attack, the lack of a challenge, the intent to kill. Leif gives his testimony, confirming every word. Your evidence is the wound on Leif's head and the axe of Bjorn's son, which you now lay on the law rock for all to see. The final piece of evidence is the son himself, who was carried to the thing by his kinsmen, his own wounded leg a testament to the fight. Bjorn's family, led now by his brother, presents their defense. They claim it was not an ambush. They argue that you and their boys met by chance in the woods, that old insults were exchanged, and a fair fight ensued. They claim you and Leif were 2 against 2. It is a weak argument, and they know it. The nature of Leif's head wound and the fact that the younger son fled speaks volumes. Most importantly, you followed the law. You did not retaliate after they killed your cow. You did not seek them out. You brought the matter to the legal assembly. You have shown yourself to be a man who respects the social order. They have shown themselves to be men who solve their problems with cowardly violence. The law speaker and the chieftains listen to both sides. They can see the truth of it, but they can also see the danger. The feud has escalated to the point where it threatens to tear the community in 2. Your allies are angry, demanding justice. Bjorn's kin are stubborn and proud, unwilling to face the full consequences. A verdict of full outlawry for the sons, which is the prescribed punishment for ambush, would be just. But it would also turn them into desperate wolves, a permanent danger to the entire region. It would make the feud irreconcilable. The law, in its wisdom, has a final option. It is not just a tool for punishment, but for reconciliation. The chieftains call a recess. They bring you and Bjorn's brother into a private conference. They do not talk of guilt or innocence. They talk of the price of peace. They propose a settlement, a massive composition payment, a weregild far greater than any fine for a pig or a duel. This is the final calculation of your journey through the Viking legal world. The payment must be large enough to restore your honor completely. It must compensate you for the dead cow, for the attack on your person, for the injury to your cousin Leif. It must contain a huge punitive element for the dishonor of the ambush itself, and it must be cripplingly large for Bjorn's family, a blow to their wealth and status so significant that they would never again contemplate raising a hand against you. They offer 20 years' worth of the produce from their best fields. They offer 10 head of cattle, and they offer a payment of silver so large it takes your breath away. It is a fortune. It is the price of a chieftain's life. In return, you must swear a binding oath before the entire thing to consider the matter settled forever. You must swear peace with their family, and they with yours. You look at Bjorn's brother. His face is a mask of bitter defeat. To accept this is to admit his family's guilt and to bankrupt them for a generation. To refuse is to see his nephews declared outlaws and the feud continue until both families are destroyed. He looks at the stern faces of the chieftains. He has no choice. He agrees. You return to the Law Rock. The settlement is announced. A collective sigh of relief seems to pass through the crowd. You and the head of Bjorn's family approach the sacred ring. You place your hands upon it. You swear the oath of peace. The words feel strange in your mouth. The feud is over. The law has worked. It has bent and twisted. It has demanded blood and silver. But in the end, it has pulled the community back from the brink of internecine warfare. You walk away from the thing a different man. You are no longer a simple farmer struggling on a few acres. You are a man of wealth and property. You are a man with a reputation forged in law and violence. You are a man with a permanent limp and scars on your soul. You have survived. More than that, you have prevailed. You have mastered the brutal, intricate system that governs your world. Back at your longhouse, the new reality begins to sink in. The extra land, the cattle, the silver, it all translates to security, to a future for your children you could not have dreamed of a year ago. You have proven that the law is not just for the powerful. It is a tool available to any free man with the courage to use it, the wit to navigate it, and the strength to enforce its judgments. But as you stand in the doorway of your home, looking out at the fields that are now yours, you feel the profound and unchangeable cost. The world is not safer. You have simply become a more formidable player in its dangerous game. You have lasted a day under Viking law. You have lasted a year. And in doing so, you have been remade by it, forged into something harder, colder, and stronger. The law did not protect your quiet life. It demanded you abandon it, and in its place,